What is up, my friends? You know, I always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. Let me make sure I'm on the right screen here. First is going to be my friends over at CompanyCam. Like I said, I know a lot of you out there, you're not business owners. You are technicians. You don't get to make these decisions. But I have to say that CompanyCam is an amazing resource for every company to have. It partners, it can be an extension on, I want to say, most of the CRMs that are out there, which is the customer resource manager, field service software, whatever you want to call it. Data collection. This is a way that you can communicate with your technicians that they added on. To be able to take all of the pictures, the videos that you take on each individual project, and it timestamps them, gets all the metadata, and puts it all in one folder just for that customer so you don't lose it. It's not stuck in a CRM. I don't know about a lot of you guys is we still use House Call Pro. We've wanted to change a couple of times, but they've actually come a long way. But one thing that we don't like where CompanyCam comes in is if you put pictures in, it's on individual jobs. So a technician, if they want to look back into the past, they have to go through each individual call. As we've grown, we have some customers we've been out to, quite a few times over the years. Now they can go into CompanyCam, they can look at that folder and see every picture, when it was taken, who took it, for that client, every single thing. And if we want to send before and afters to the customer, it's got a nice, neat templates to be able to send it to them. It's absolutely amazing. And a lot of these CRMs, they do similar things, but they don't do what CompanyCam does because it's an add-on for them. CompanyCam, it's what they do. Not to mention these pictures as far as SEO and being able to take them onto the internet to show people the quality of work that you do. CompanyCam makes it simple. And guys, CompanyCam has added so many things. I told you they're very busy people. I'm trying to get Kate or one of them on, maybe CompanyCam Claire. Her name's Claire. I'd call her CompanyCam Claire. Trying to get her back on to talk about some of the new things that they're doing because it is absolutely amazing. Guys, they will give you, I'm trying to remember the even deal because they've changed it a few times. But you should be able to get a month free, and then they'll give you 50% off your first 2 months by using my discount code. So if you go to companycam.com/HVAC Uncensored, you'll be able to get that deal. All right. Next, you guys know who it is. My friends over at BLUON. Guys, I don't know if a lot of you pay attention to the messages that BLUON sends you. I'm not going to talk about all the stuff that we know they do amazing when it comes to their app, manuals, finding and locating parts, their tech support. We know that that's bar none, industry standard, like nobody can touch them. But now, guys, every Monday, like I said, they are giving $250 out to people just for using the app. And now if you check your messages, they are paying people for your knowledge. So if you're a super tech and you know what you're doing, you can fix anything. Well, guess what? Put it to the test and get paid for your knowledge. All right? They are letting people take a series of quiz and test and do different things where they will pay you for your knowledge. You have to be a BLUON member because you have to get the text to be able to go through. But if you're a member, pay attention, look at your texts that are coming through BLUON, because if you know what you're doing, you're good shit, you're a legitimate super tech. Let's see. Put your money where your mouth is, or put your mouth where your money is. Doesn't cost you anything. So go ahead and do that, and you can get paid for your knowledge. It's pretty awesome. And like I say, BLUON is always upgrading the HVAC industry. Normally I do too, but last but not least, I'm going to do this one really, really fast. Isn't a sponsor, just a good friend of mine, my good buddy, Mr. Ben Pohl from HVAC Tactical. Go buy some of this merchandise, support people in the trades and the movement that Ben is doing with HVAC Tactical when it comes with the award show and all the other things that Ben does behind the scenes, to be honest with you. If you knew the stuff that this guy does behind the scenes, it is absolutely amazing. It really, really is. And remember, the Tactical Awards it's open, okay? So you got to go fill out a form every time and vote for who you think should win some of these awards. You guys think that I should be back-to-back podcaster of the year? That would be amazing, even though I would like to see somebody else win. But go cast your votes. If you guys think I should win, by all means, go do that. I'd be honored if you do that. But I just want you to go vote. There's Lady of the Year. We all know somebody, a.k.a. Misfits, who should be winning that award, in my opinion. But make sure you go cast your vote. be honest with it, and all the different categories. So these people who are doing the right thing, they get recognized because somebody who's won an award. It's absolutely amazing. It's a night that you'll never forget. All right, with that being said, let's get on to the show. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. I'm your host, Gil KV Jr. Here we are, another Wednesday, another hump day, and another great show for you guys. Before we introduce our guests, say hi to some of you in the chat, as always, for being here. My moderators, Mr. Rookie, what is up, my brother? Mr. Kraus, Coolin' with Kraus HVAC. We got Mr. Brian Sanders in here, Chris Miller. I know I saw some other people in here. I'm trying to make sure I grab most of you that I see. Anyway, for the ones that are here, thank you guys so much for being here. It's been a crazy night. We got a big chiller thing that we're doing. We don't normally do that kind of stuff. It's for a friend of Ryan's from church. So we are taking care of it, and it's got to be done with the next couple of days. So I was out there. I will be out there today, and I will be out there again tomorrow morning, knocking out some of this stuff. So not too bad. It's just different for some of the guys. Dusted my tools off. Get out of here, man. I am always a tech. I'm even better with a wrench than I am with a pencil. Come on now. But guys, I have a great show for you tonight, man. And this is one that's pretty cool because this is about some business as well. It's a business owner who's in our industry, who runs an HVAC company, out there with the same struggles as the rest of us, that are struggles and successes, let me say it that way, in the HVAC business on a different side of the country. As well, he's had some amazing products that he's invented and put into the market to help people when it comes to HVAC installation. I've looked at some of these. I'm very curious to talk about some of them, but I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. So guys, without further ado, let me bring my guest on. It's going to be Mr. Jason Carter, the owner and founder of Ingeni, and it's also Innovative Comfort Systems is his company, and he's going to be accompanied by his VP of Business Development, Mr. Kevin. Hello, gentlemen.
Howdy. Hello. Good.
Good. Go ahead. It's fine. I know it's hard to not know when somebody else is talking. First and foremost, thank both of you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. Jason, if you wouldn't mind letting everybody know a little bit about like who you are and what you do, because obviously, like I said, you have the HVAC company as well as the other company as well.
Right. Yeah. So thanks for having me on, Gil. Really appreciate the opportunity. So I'm a third generation HVAC contractor, grown up in the trades. My experience with schooling is trade school, and then some school of hard knocks with learning how to create a business. So yeah, I grew up doing HVAC. That's all I've ever done. We're in the Seattle metro market, and so we do a lot of gas furnaces up here, a lot of heat pumps, a lot of boilers, a lot of wet heat with hydronics. And I started my own business in 2010, kind of on the tail end of the crash of the market. My dad shut his business down, and so what happened was I didn't have anything else to really try. I just knew HVAC. So I said, well, I'll just take a stab at doing it myself. And 2012, we really entered the Seattle metro market and really started getting into ductless. I mean, that's where all the work was. So um, that's really where things have gone from there. We really started going away from doing forced air ducted systems, and we really started doing a lot of boiler work. We really started doing a lot of ductless mini splits. And ductless mini splits right now is probably about 70% of our business total at this
Nice.
point. Yeah, we're a Mitsubishi triple diamond dealer. We usually get an award every year at the Mitsubishi meeting. Um, and we're really big on infill construction. So, we talked a little bit before the show. You guys are big on service. A lot of guys are really big on retro. But that's kind of where we're kind of weird in the market. We're actually a very large ductless company that does new construction. So, just a lot of ductless in this market. And we just, we've had problems like everybody else with manpower. I mean, kind of my motto is I don't make money unless my guys are turning wrenches, right? I don't make money on callbacks. I don't make money when my guys are picking up parts at the warehouse. I hate will calls probably more than anything else in the world. Um, so um, we started having trouble with ductless installs. I don't really know how familiar a lot of guys are with ductless installs, but um, you're usually installing a backing plate, and it doesn't really matter the brand, whether it's Mitsubishi Daikin or Lennox or whatever, some Medea brand or whatever. But you've got a backing plate you got to install, and then you got to run in your power communication wiring and your refrigeration lines and your condensate drain. And so, what we were having on the new construction side, not so much retrofit, but new construction, is that uh, we got other trades coming in behind us, right? We're going in at framing stage and we're putting in these refrigeration lines or condensate drains. Um, and then we got guys coming behind us that really uh, it seems like they like jacking things up for the HVAC guy more than anything else. You got drywallers, you got painters, you got landscapers, you got siders. And so we really, really struggled with having line set damage. It was really problematic. I mean, we'd go out to what we call trim out phase. Painting's done, trim's done, and we're going to go out and we're going to set wall heads. We're going to go out and set condensers. And we have damaged refrigeration lines or cut refrigeration lines, or the drywallers thought, hey, it's not going to hurt to just take these line sets and move them over another 2 inches so we can put this full sheet of drywall in, right? Um, and that was problematic. So, really, in 2014, we really started experimenting with like just sheet metal boxes. Um, I was thinking, maybe we could find something that's kind of like a receptacle for the wall heads to try and protect these from damage. So in 2014, we started just experimenting with different things and never could find anything that really worked good. And um, this is something that's kind of separate, but in 2015, I actually took a sabbatical from my business for a year and I helped launch a home automation startup. So I had a customer that I work with that's a mechanical engineer, brilliant guy. And Kevin's actually involved with the company as well. So that's kind of how me and Kevin actually met up. But he started a home automation platform, and I do see home automation as being really big in the future. For it's really going to impact the HVAC market, and I'd really like to see HVAC uh, contractors take that and own it. There's going to be competition from electrical trades and all that, and that's a whole separate conversation and argument. But I do think that low voltage control people like HVAC technicians are well suited to take that and run with it. So I took a sabbatical for a year and helped launch that. We raised about $1.5 million and did some product development. And but what the really cool thing was, it introduced me to plastics manufacturing. That was the cool thing for my HVAC experience. So so I took about a year sabbatical from my business, went back to my business in 2017, and during that time, 2016, we launched our first generation enclosure box. So we call it the Gen 1 Rough-in box. And from 2016 to 2021, we installed about 3,000 of these units. So it's basically a glorified receptacle for your wall heads. So it's a home where you can run your refrigeration line, your power, your condensate drain, and then you've got a cover that you put over that. And at trim out, you take the cover off, and then your mounting plate over the top of that, and all your connections are clean. They're not damaged. They're in the same spot every time. So we're really looking for, because we've got, I think, like 23 people now total. We've got like 16 or 17 people in the field. So that's a lot of different people, different ideas on what to do, where to put it, how it should be connected up. And having a receptacle made it where we could be consistent, right? I mean, we want consistency between crews. So different people could come out at either the rough-in stage or come out at the trim stage, and things are the same all the time. It's consistency. So we started, using these Gen 1 boxes that we had made by a local plastics manufacturer just right here in Everett, Washington, which is where Boeing's at. It's literally the plastics manufacturer that we use is about 3 blocks from the Boeing plant. And so we did that for a couple of years and just basically put some money aside till we could really get some serious capital saved up to do real plastics manufacturing. We did some tooling in 2021 and launched our Gen 2 boxes, which is what we have commercially available on the market now. And so we've basically got 2 products that we've developed, and they're just really for trying to save ourselves as HVAC technicians and installers from trade-related damage. So we got the wall box that goes inside, and it basically works with either a wall head or like a floor mount head. Like, I'm not familiar with a lot of brands what they have, but there's several others aside from Mitsubishi, which is what we primarily use, that have like a floor mount model. And so, this box, this enclosure, the Gen 2 box, works really well with that. But we also have a flashing that we developed that goes on the outside because we're having problems with, particularly with siders, some with landscapers, where, we run our refrigeration lines out the side of the building. And, we can do home run systems that can have a 5-to-1. So we have 5 pairs of refrigeration lines. That's a big bundle of copper, right? I mean, it's a big chunk.
Yeah, I'm looking at your boxes. Maybe I got it pulled up on this other screen. I'll share I was going to share the screen, but I think when I share it, it might not let you talk. Hold on, let me see. Here, let me unmute you. Hold on. Yeah, it's not working. So real fast, guys, if you go to their website, you can see his products is what he's talking about. I was gonna try to show this while I was talking, but it automatically mutes him the way it's built. So let me go back. But this right here is the product that Jason is talking about. Sorry about that. I was trying to get it to unmute you, but it wasn't.
That's right. That's right. Technology, right?
Yeah, right. Pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome that you do that. So we don't do any really new construction. We have some like contractors and stuff that we work for that a lot of times the guys, we just install it all the same day. We don't have to go back because it's an addition. It's
right.
Different. Somebody's there, and if it's studs, we just put up a piece of drywall, hang our piece, and then they know that their people come in and just drywall up to it. But I can see what you guys have to deal with, especially when it's got to be something that's repetitive. That's how you're, making money in new construction is a really good product, but it's got to be efficiency and getting it knocked out.
Right.
I'll ask you this though, just business. I'm curious that new construction has always scared me just because I know there's good money in it. But I've always been like, it should be like manageable piece of the company just because of like what happened in like 2008 and all that kind of stuff with the house.
Right.
Is that something you think that like you're like open and prepared for? Like it's a small enough chunk of your company that if something happened that you're still okay? Or is it like you're going to get it while it's there kind of deal?
Well, right now we're getting it while it's there. Okay. So, we are actively trying to grow the retrofit and service side of the company. That's just, And that's one thing that I would tell anybody. I don't care who you are, what market you're in. If you're relying on new construction as your bread and butter, it's just a matter of time before you are going to hit the skids. So you better either have a lot of cash saved up to get you through and be willing to shell out to to basically give jobs away at some point to keep your good guys, keep them on staff and keep them busy, or you better learn to diversify. So I will say, as far as what we are, we started out as a new construction company. That's my background. That's
Oh,
what my grandfather and my dad were. And so, just seeing different slowdowns and things like that, it's caused me to realize that you're not going to be successful long term. Just new construction. There's too much volatility. I mean, there's too many ups and downs. I mean, we vote for a new president every 4 years. Who knows what's going to happen? That's just the way things are.
yeah, no, that makes sense. There's so many uncontrollables that you can be the best at what you do, and you can't control things that happen. So, and I've heard people say they're like, I keep this as 30% of my business. Or I take it up a little bit, but I have a really good service department that I know that if this was to drop, they can carry it. You know what I mean? So that's why I was
Right.
just curious because of things I've heard, because we've never done much of it. Also, the other thing is there's in this area, especially Washington, D.C., you put them together, it's a huge market. Um, there's some big boys that kind of monopolize that market. Like,
Right. Yep.
unless you're gonna do it for free, you can't touch these guys. So you might get little builders, but the big builders around here on the East Coast, they're just. I don't have the buying power that these people have to, buy equipment by the warehouse load and stuff like
Right.
that. So we've never got into it, but I know some people that have done very well. So that's why I was curious. But that's awesome with the ductless. I've seen um a good number of people. The guy that I was talking about, the business owner that I met with, um that I was
Yeah.
talking about,
Uh-huh.
he's actually very, very big on ductless systems. Um so I've seen a lot of people, like we do a good amount of ductless systems, and then we do a lot of around here oil to electric conversions.
Right. Yep.
People cost of oil. But I see a lot of people that are taking that like, hey, we don't want the other stuff. We're just really good at this. And you would think like, well, why would you just cut yourself off from this whole other half of the market? But they're making a killing. And I'm like, hey, touche to you, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's six in one hand, half does the other, the way that I look at it. I mean, I do think to a certain degree you need to stick with what you know. Like a couple years ago, I tried branching out into doing electrical, like full scale electrical, hiring at least in our neck of the woods, it's called an O1 electrician, which is a guy that's licensed to do pretty much anything, industrial, commercial, whatever. And tried to open electrical division, and it about put me out of business. Just not the right kind of guy, not the right kind of fit. The guy was a great mechanic, but couldn't help me develop the business side of it. And so, we're just low voltage control electricians, the way that we're licensed in Washington State, and we're just sticking with that for the time being because that's what we can do. But when it comes to the market, it's like, yeah, you're really taking a big roll of the dice if you just try and stick with just new construction. However, kind of where we're at, there's a couple things that are in our favor. You mentioned the big boys, and that is true. There's a lot of big companies that they've got the muscle, they've got the dollars, and so they can get the best prices. They can beat up the reps for special pricing that we can't get. But we go after small builders. We go after guys that want good service, and that's kind of one of the things that we look at is guys that go, you guys do a consistent job every time, no matter who's out on the job, and you either deliver what you say you're going to deliver, or if you can't, you'll at least be up front and let me know, hey, we're running 3 days behind schedule. I'm going to give you a heads up. You guys just don't ghost me for a week and then not show up. So that's one thing that we've done that's helped us with the new construction market. And then the other thing is that I used to avoid areas like I said. I was raised on new construction, we mainly did plat development, so gas furnaces. My dad was a big Trane dealer. We did a lot of Trane gas furnaces, and just pound out. We get a system down, and basically go into a plat, 70 houses, 30 houses, whatever, and do a layout, and the guys would be able to get them down where we do. If we had a plat of 50 houses, we might have 5 plans in it, right? Do the same house 10 times. And, we're really gaining on our labor by the time we get to the last couple of houses on each plan. Our profit margins were incredible. We're killing it. But, once the market crashes, that's the first thing to go. So you're always running that risk. So what I looked at was the metro markets, the metro areas are the biggest pain in the butt to deal with for everybody. So there's a lot of people that don't want to deal with them. So like in Seattle, you have to have a separate refrigeration license. You have to have a separate gas piping license. You have to, if you're going to do a forced air system, you got to get a mechanical permit and a refrigeration permit. If you're doing multifamily, you got to get a specialty design review permit. There's all kinds of different stuff that you have to do. And a lot of guys just say, you know what, that's not for me. I'm not getting to that market. So that does help buffer you a little bit from the guys that are just working out of the back of the truck and, they're just going for the lowest dollar. They're going to work in more rural areas where, the permitting's a little lighter. The restrictions are a little lighter. But that's one thing that we've actually found that's worked in our favor is we've got a system down. We've got a guy that works in our office that he's part-time quality inspection manager, and the other part of his job is permit coordinator. So he basically part-time, he's going and just literally going to each one of these cities or the counties, and he's pulling permits and just making sure that we have all of our licenses up to date, making sure our fees are paid. And that takes a lot of work. So there's a lot of guys that aren't willing to do that, right? And so there's kind of a happy medium when you can get enough people. I mean, like I couldn't do it when I had 8 people. It's just me and my wife working in the office and a part-time sales guy. We couldn't do it. There was just no way we could keep up with everything. But if you get to where you got enough staff where you can still pay your overhead and everything and still keep on top of this stuff, it does open up some opportunities for you. So there are some, in my opinion, there are some very difficult markets to work in when it comes to legislation or when it comes to just paperwork BS in general, where you do have an opportunity to get in there if you're willing to jump through all the hoops and do the work, that a lot of guys that are kind of working on the back of the truck or small guys aren't willing to take the time to do it.
No, that makes sense. And Maryland's the same way. There's apprentice, journeyman, master's license.
Yeah.
So I got a master's license, HVAC, and then I got a gas fitter's license. Ryan, who is my buddy, who's actually the owner of the company, he's got Maryland, DC, Virginia, Delaware. He's taken. Well, we use his, so there's no point in me taking all the other tests. But we're the same way. So when it comes to electrical, we can go from the load side, like from the panel out. But normally they're supposed to run the wire from the panel to the disconnect, and then we can take it from the disconnect to the unit.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
it gets a little crazy. But at least you guys have something. When I didn't know until I started doing this podcast that there is only 18 total states in the United States that requires any kind of licensing, because Pennsylvania being so close, I got a family member up there who he is the biggest hack. And the fact that he runs a company, I'm just like, man, this is crazy that they don't require anything. I know some really good guys too, but seeing a guy like him, I'm like, this is crazy. They require nothing. But
Yeah.
the other side, I was going to say, what's good with the new construction side, one of the positives is you don't really got to spend a bunch of money on marketing because you're building a
No.
relationship and there's nobody to
None.
market to.
No. Once you get in with somebody who likes you, you're game. And one of the other things that I've ran into as well, we've got in with a couple groups that do financing. So that was one of the other things that was actually a silver lining in the cloud with the 2008 crash is there's a lot of guys that had money that started up a lot of private capital groups, right? And so a bunch of those are based in Seattle. And so we started getting in with some of these contractors that are doing this private equity. They're not going to banks for construction loans. They're going to private equity groups, right? So these private equity groups are going out, buying property and the fronting the money for these builders to be able to build these projects, and then they split the profits at the end. So it's a pretty cool system, and that's been a huge part of our marketing. You take care of one guy, he'll refer you to his other buddy that he's working with, right? And so, we got a really good group of clientele just by, working those angles.
That's pretty awesome. Um, I want to ask a few other questions, but I feel Kevin is just sitting there and he's got that beautiful ductless system sitting behind. So, Kevin,
Yeah, he does.
yeah, what is your day to day with Jason in the business? Like, what do you? I know you're involved in a couple of the business that Jason does. What exactly do you have to do every day? You putting your hand in a whole bunch of different pots?
Talking to with Ingeni, I mean, as Jason said, and you noted, there's not a lot of marketing for HVAC contractors when we do a lot of new construction, and so ICS is about 80% new construction, 20% retro. And so I've been focused on Ingeni with Jason. And the challenge there, we were at AHR this year. It was a great show. The challenge is really with any new company in the HVAC industry, and you probably know this much better than me, is getting distributors. All right. So I spend most of my time working with manufacturer reps and trying to line up the distributors. I've been kicked off a bunch of marketing campaigns, which have been pretty interesting, and looking for folks like you to talk to you about the product and get Jason's story out there, because what's so compelling is with ICS and this is Jason really tried just about everything out there. He went. There are a few competing products out there, and we were using, like in the case of the ICS, we were using a competitor's product for many years, and it was an okay product. But Jason saw how he could make it just a little bit better, and that's what came out with our flashing. And yeah, the trade damage is a big part of it, but I don't know about where you live in your neck of the woods, but up here we have a huge problem with copper thieves. And so
Baltimore, we burn our
yeah,
own city down. Trust me, they still copper too.
yeah. Jason had called me over, and we walked through a Pulte development he was working on, and copper thieves had just come through, and we were fortunate that this one happened after we got our flashing launched. And the benefit of our tool is if somebody could do thousands of dollars worth of damage, but if you have to open up the walls and so forth, especially after the painting's been done, or with in this case, it's just simply splicing. You just remove the cover and splice new pipes below the lines out. I mean, Jason, you can speak to it better than me. So when you go back to it's just getting the words out, writing white papers about this, the cost effectiveness of it, and then trying to get people to try it. So I spent a lot of time sending out samples.
Hey, that's awesome. Well, I mean, to send out a sample, I would love to. Like I said, I don't do a huge bunch of new construction, but I know I would definitely, try this out and make some video content or whatever if you guys are game to it. And I would send it to you before I put it out. I've tried a lot of products. I guess
I'm running to UPS tomorrow for another big contractor, so I'll just get you I'll just send some to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should have, and I apologize. I should have sent you some already. It's just,
no, it's
hey, should have had it in your hand.
No, it's all good, because sometimes I think some of these best products that are made are from people who were in the trade. They were doing the job, and they're like, there's got to be a better way. And those are the guys that make these things. So I'm not affiliated with them, but I know a lot of people that do like the Subco Trade Fox stuff where they sell their idea to them and they help produce it and all that kind of stuff. And, some of the products I've seen, they're like, well, why the hell didn't I think of that? You know what I mean? And it's how a lot of these things are. It's like, because somebody took the time to be like, I'm going to put in the effort to make something better. So I love seeing people in the industry do this and reap the rewards, because you should. You're not just helping your job. Now you're helping every single HVAC installer out there be more efficient and easier at what they're doing. I'm curious. I wish I could put this up. So when I'm looking at this is literally when you make the hole, you run your stuff up and you just screw this into that space. And then when you come back, you just go over top of this, or do you take this back out?
Well, with the Gen 2 box, I can just 30 seconds, you put it in between the studs before the other trades get there, and you sort of stake out your space. So you have a place for your your line sets. The electrician knows where he's got to put the wire. If the electrician's doing it. I mean, we put these in my house that we built, and I was there with the electricians all the time. So okay, you got to run the 220 there, and also if you have like a pump, there's room for a pump there. Your condensate pipes are, everyone, as Jason said, everyone knows where they've got to put the stuff. Then you just close it up, cover the lid, and then your drywallers can come in, then your painters can come in, and then your fine carpenters can come in. So that's inside the building. So you don't have to worry about somebody kinking the line set, and it makes it sort of a production type environment. With the flashing, you put the flashing plate on outside, then you can wrap it, and then you can side around it, and the cover's there to prevent moisture intrusion. In Hawaii they have issues with geckos, so you can easily put a wire mesh on it to keep the critters out. And it's very simple to work with. I mean, Jason's big why he thought about the flashing was because of these kinked line sets and how hard it was to work with the other types. And plus, like he said, he's running. My house had 4 line sets in one and 4 in the other, or 3 in the other. Jason, I mean, so they're big enough.
Yeah, we had seven heads total. Yeah.
So they're big enough to handle all that copper as well as the wiring. So does that answer your question? I mean, that's really what that's.
Yeah,
that's
no,
really
it definitely does. Because looking at the picture, that's what I thought, but I figured it would be kind of a dumb question to ask, but I wanted to ask it anyway. I see the Flash 5 and the Flash 8 is like around here, and it's funny that people only really do it on mini splits, but or ductless. Like the line hide, how we always cover it with the line hide. Is this flat like termination, or kind of like your own kind of line hide?
So we use line hide all the time for our retro jobs. I mean, almost every day. This is a flashing that you use on new siding. So whether you're using hardy or lap siding or even like rain screen, we tried to size it so you could even use it with a rain screen. So this is what you're putting on when you have a raw plywood side house and you're stubbing your refrigeration lines outside. So if you can imagine, Gil, you've got, let's say you're putting in 5 heads and you got 5 pairs stubbed outside the building. How are you supposed to weatherproof that with siding, right? It's going to be a nightmare. You got insulation anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick insulation. That's going to really suck trying to do that. We've tried a lot of stuff. We tried using cedar blocks. We've tried using all kinds of different vent caps. We've tried, I don't know how much you really care for people naming brands, but I love some of the Rector Seal products that they have. But there are some limitations with everything I could find on the market. And every style of solution that I came up with had some sort of drawback, especially when you're talking about insulation that's over a period of time. It's going to, you're going to break down from UV. You're going to have problems with rodents. I mean, there's so many problems. So that's why I came up with a flashing where you could basically have a base that's mounted to the raw wall, and then you flash it with your flashing tape or whatever, put your siding on, run your line sets through the hole, you cut whatever size you need in the OSB outside, run your pairs through anywhere from, you could run 1 pair, or we've ran 5 pairs through, and then you put your hood over and you've got a weatherproof, waterproof termination for 5 pairs of line sets, and it works.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, no, it looks. So if you guys go to do line hide after the fact, do you just connect up to this, so you wouldn't need like the normal like termination plate that you would use where you slide it underneath, screw it in, and snap this over? You would just go off of this, correct?
So yes, as far as the box, yes, correct. We've used the box. So we've had several jobs where you know how retrofits can be. I mean, sometimes you're gutting just the inside, outside siding stays or whatever. So we've done a lot of hybrid type approaches where we use the Gen 2 box inside for the wall, and then we're running the refrigeration lines out to line hide, and then running that, a channel down to the compressor location. So we don't use the flashing in that application.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, no. So when you guys sell this, like if I go online and I want to buy this, can you guys literally warehousing and fulfilling these shipments yourself? Do you have like a third party doing it, or are you like eating all this stock like it's all you?
Well, at this point, we have a partner here local in the Seattle metro market that's doing warehousing for us. So we're basically doing fulfillment ourselves. In our local market, so Washington and Oregon, we're actually in Johnstone Supply. So we're really pushing to try and get this national. We've got a couple others that have started to bring it on. FW in your guys' neck of the woods. I don't know if you haven't been watching this or not. I really don't. But FW Web has just
East,
brought it in.
East Coast Sheet Metal, we're in their system, but they haven't ordered any yet. They're waiting for contractors to get involved. We just have a similar partner we've been working with in Chicago, who's doing Upper Midwest. They're like a warehousing company, and they work with distributors. So that's been part of the challenge. I'll be honest. It is much more difficult than I ever thought it would be. I used to work for a group purchasing organization to break into these distributors. And Jason was able to leverage the large volume that ICS does to sort of like quote unquote force Johnstone to carry it. And Jason's a big believer in the distributor, model, right? So he actually ICS buys the product from Johnstone, even though there's another company that sells it to Johnstone. I mean, so we're trying to really build that kind of network out, and it has been a challenge, but we're finally getting some traction.
I know it's hard from seeing it and hearing from other people. And obviously you saw that BLUON is they're my anchor sponsor. They're my biggest one. And it wasn't even a product. It was their new app, getting supply houses to use it and link to it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I helped do that for them with them. Let me just say that, because they have a bunch of people that do a lot of awesome work. And even seeing that side, and I'm like, they don't even have to pay for this, well, not up front. But I was like, seeing some of the behind the scenes, I was just like, man, this is crazy how hard some of these things are. And then I've seen some of different products too. And it's especially when you have some of these big national, and I'll say their name because I absolutely hate them, man, now I'm not going to remember their name. The people that make New Bright, what is it? The big chemical and New Calgon. Because,
Oh yeah. Yep.
I love Mr. John Pastorillo from Refrigeration Technologies. He is just an amazing man. He was a chemist scientist who was also HVAC. He's made all of his products, and a lot of things that are duplicated are his inventions that were changed just enough that somebody could patent it and not be stealing his idea, like the whole like the coil cleaner gun and stuff like that. He had the original one, not New Calgon. So when you have companies like New Calgon that are like, hey, you're going to sell my product, but you have to take the whole catalog and say they make something that is similar, but is not even one iota as good as what you offer, or even the same thing. A lot of times these people are like, oh, I can't because of the deal I signed with them,
Right.
Like
And we've ran into that.
Yeah, we have to go custom order things like, hey, I don't want that piece of shit. I want the Refrigeration Technologies gun. Well, I can get it for you, but I got to special order it. It's just like, come on, man,
Yeah.
We do have
almost.
So we do have a partner that will sell cases, and that's PacWest out of Mukilteo. But so there are ways we can do it, but it's my job's really just getting the word out, and getting people to call up the distributors and just say, hey, have you heard of these guys? That's where we're at. That's why it's just really building awareness, because in many ways it is kind of we're telling people about something that they haven't thought of, and so they've got to they got to warm up to it a little bit. But some people just get it.
Yeah, and you guys can't be the only. There's somebody else that's in the same position as you, doing the same kind of business model, that's going, this sucks. How can I fix it? And they're going to scroll through or maybe listen to this podcast and go like, you've got to be shitting me. Somebody made this. This is awesome. You know what I mean? Like, they just have to hear and know that it exists.
Right. And that's why I decided to do it. I mean, in 2015, when I got introduced to plastic injection molding, and I was like, this stuff is way cool. This is bad out. I mean, I saw all kinds of, doing tours of facilities and seeing how stuff was made. I saw how parts are made for big companies. I mean, Crimson Trace, Uber, these different companies that have these products, these everyday products, and it just opened your eyes to how stuff's made. And I said, guys, I've got an idea. I've had an idea for a couple of years on something I want to build. What do I got to do to do this? And the rep said, okay, why don't you save up $100,000 and then call me, and we'll get you a quote together for how to start doing tooling for plastic injection. It was really discouraging, and that's why it took me years to get to a point where I could go, yeah, I'm ready to actually do this, and I believe enough in my idea, and I've actually done it enough, and it's worked enough for me. I'm willing to roll the dice and spend the money and do this, and that's where not everybody can do that. Not everybody has that opportunity, or even believes in their own product enough. Like you said, there's a lot of companies out there that offer to buy ideas from people because they know the average Joe technician out there that's got a great idea for some widget or gadget that's just killer, that saves time or saves money or whatever. They don't have the opportunity to do that. So, there's a lot of big companies out there that have the muscle, and they're going to buy it up, and then they're going to turn it and make money because, again, yeah, they've got large product lines and they can push it straight out through their distribution networks. But if you're a small guy and you don't have that, then you're really pounding the pavement trying to get your idea out there. And you literally have to go. I mean, I'm literally talking to guys when we went to AHR, I was talking to other installers, and they're just like, we need something like this. Where can we buy it? And I'm like, I can send it to you directly, but right now I don't have anybody in the Southeast that's gonna stock it for you. So what do you do? And really, it's kind of funny. Me and Kevin have laughed about this a lot because Kevin was like, screw all this, screw it. Let's start an Amazon store, right? Let's go Amazon. Everybody's buying off Amazon. And I just, I've grown up in the HVAC, and I do have a healthy respect for the distribution network. And I understand it does take a lot of parts and pieces to make things work. It takes a lot of support. I'm really appreciative of all the reps that I work with, the Train reps, the Mitsubishi reps, the guys that give me support, that really, when push comes to shove, when I really needed product during COVID shutdown and things like that, those guys really worked their butts off to try and get me the equipment I needed. They got me the support I needed, circuit boards. I mean, just different things to try and support me as a business. And so, my thought is I want to support that model as well, even though at times it's a huge pain in the butt. It's a huge problem to try and deal with. And you got to, at various companies, you got to deal with, office politics, really. I mean, if somebody comes in with an idea and they've, like you said earlier, if they've got somebody else that has a similar product, it doesn't matter if it's crappy or not. They've got the edge, and they say, well, if you're going to sell all of our product, then you're not going to buy product from them. You're not going to buy their idea. You're not going to sell their product, and you're out in the cold.
Yeah. And even like even you, just a business owner, not even the other people getting to do it. If this is solving exactly why you created it, that you don't have copper getting stolen, you don't have somebody messing it up, that therefore is adding time onto your job, maybe pushing back your deadline or killing your people because it's like, hey guys, I know you normally get off at 5 and you would be done, but now we got to rerun this line set. I need you to work till 9 o'clock because it has to be done by tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to do that anymore. And the builder's going to know that, like, hey, these guys are always on time. They don't have these other issues that maybe the guys I used last time. Like, it's funny that their copper never gets stolen. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because in Baltimore City, I mean, we have to cage outdoor units, like even mini splits, because they will steal it. If it's a 2-day install, it might not be there when you come back for the second day. That's how bad it is. That's why I say a lot of the new construction people down there could use stuff like this. The only thing, a lot of stuff in the city, there's new construction, but it's retro, but not, it's like gutting an old building, and then they use the
Right.
guts and then redo it because some of them are historical or whatever they want to call it.
Right.
But a lot of times they are going back with ductless or they're doing VRF. I was gonna say, so you guys do any like VRF stuff as well?
We do some VRF. We've done some apartment buildings VRF. We've done some small mixed use buildings VRF. Like the Mitsubishi City Multi, or like their some of their S series, Pumi series type stuff. We've done some of that. VRF's really big. Washington State. So I'm actually a voting member of the Residential Energy Code TAG Council. So TAG is the Technical Advisor Group for the State Building Code Council. And we just had our codes put back. The State Building Code Council voted to send back 90 days. We usually have a new energy code that comes out the beginning of July every 3 years. But they had to delay it for 90 days because I don't know if you heard about it, but the federal preemption issue that Berkeley had with the natural gas lines running to new buildings, and they got sued by, I think it's the Restaurant Association down in Berkeley, and it went to the Supreme Court, and it was a federal preemption issue that basically the city of Berkeley got slapped down because they're trying to limit gas supply. So it's a big thing, and it's affecting states all over that are trying to ban natural gas. So, I see this kind of stuff happening all the time where our state, Washington in particular, is really pushing for VRF. So it's a big heat pump VRF friendly state. We don't have any problems selling ductless and VRF here. We just don't. It's just that's what the state wants anyway. They don't want natural gas. They don't want oil. We have a very healthy oil to heat pump conversion program in the city of Seattle. It's a big business, and so yeah. And we do you see a lot of VRFs in historic buildings. Because it's very it's minimally invasive, and so yeah.
Yeah, we see it a lot here too, especially being so close to DC. I feel like whatever is in the White House, it just kind of like feeds here. So with the big, tax credits for electric and,
Yeah.
we have people calling. We had one today actually. And my guy called me and was like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, Gil. Like they have like a new gas furnace and they want to rip it out because they want to go electric because that's what the wife wants. And I was like, I guess we're putting in a new heat pump then, because the guy's gonna do what his wife wants. But there's a lot of the ductless stuff as well, because some of those buildings when they break them down, they're not gonna start knocking down stuff to put in ductwork.
Right.
They rather make smaller holes to run heads and office spaces that we've done. It just when you can literally be heating one space and cooling another space at the same time. The technology.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and when you got an office full of people, and let's just be honest, a bunch of women in an office, their comfortable is different. One's always going to be hot, one's always going to be cold, and maybe just people in general. But I've been in a few with some women that you're never going to get them comfortable. You're never going to be good at your job, so just suck it up and take their critiquing. But yeah, and I love this. I definitely want to try one of these. I think this is really really cool. Have you guys done any of the Mitsubishi where it's like the normal air handler with the ductless outdoor unit? I forget what they call them.
So are you talking about their dedicated air handler, or are you talking about their new coil that goes with the gas furnace? So they've got.
So, but
Okay.
it's like where they have a normal air handler, but the outdoor unit looks like a ductless system. And I forget their name.
Yes.
Like the Daikin
Yeah.
Fit came out with one. I think Lennox, because we're Lennox
Yes.
dealers, Lennox has one. But I know Mitsubishi, they were the cream of the crop. They were the first ones to do it.
We put these units in. I would say we do at least one system a week. That's at least one of those systems, and they're bad out. I was actually just over in Eastern Washington, so Washington State is basically like two states. You got the Cascades that divides it, and you got could make some enemies here, but you've got the West Coast blue half, and you got the high desert red half, right? The rural area. And it gets smoking hot over there. It's high desert, sagebrush. Beautiful mule deer country if you like hunting. And I got a buddy that's actually my general manager's brother that's got a property over there. I went over there and installed one of those systems for him. It's a 1-to-1, ripped out the old electric furnace, put in an air handler, put in one of those ductless style side discharge, and he just sent me a screenshot yesterday. He's like, man, this is just awesome. He's got his temperature at 69 degrees, and it's 105 outside. So he's got a picture of his thermometer under the covered deck. So, maybe it's 110, 112 outside. It's 105 in the shade, and he's 69 degrees inside. I mean, VRF has just really changed so many things. I mean, you can do forced air now that actually dehumidifies and keeps people comfortable.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love inverter technology. I love offering high-end equipment. It doesn't mean that it's for everybody and they're going to do it, but I feel like if you don't at least give them that option, you're doing a disservice to them.
I agree. Yeah.
You're going to get those people that are like, "No, I want, 14, I want the cheap single stage stuff. That's all I want."
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know exist, especially with some of the tax credits and the credits that are federal and through the different states. And when you offer that and you're like, well, you can get this really nice inverter system for ends up being like $600 more than, this other system when you count in the tax credits or the financing.
Right.
It's literally a $10 different a month payment. And when I actually experienced inverter technology, like I had always like sold them back in the day and believed in the technology because I've always been a nerd when it comes to it. I want to know how it works and what it does and why it does what it does. But I had my old house. I had 2 of the Carrier Greenspeed inverters, and
Right.
they were amazing. And I'm in the process of buying a new house, and I've thought I'm going with inverters. That's not even a question. But I've debated whether I want to do something like that with the ductless outdoor style, or something different. So I'm gonna keep it creative and maybe make it a series at my own house. But I got to get the house first and see what's in it.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Well,
It's just one of those things where, if you haven't experienced it, you don't understand it. I mean, you can't appreciate it. And when I built my house in 2019, like, right as COVID was really blowing up, and I did a boiler with, I did basically a rambler with some bedrooms upstairs for the kids, and we did a concrete slab with hydronic heat, and then I did ductless everywhere. Literally every room, including the laundry room, has its own ductless. And you just set it and forget it, and it's just so comfortable. I mean, people don't until you have it, you can't appreciate it. I mean, I would never do forced air in a house again. I'd put ductless everywhere. I mean,
it's amazing because like Seattle right now, what's the latest numbers, Jason? 50% of Seattle doesn't have air. Doesn't have cool air.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so ductless is really taking off because it's getting hot. It's 90. What was it today? 92 here. And we don't normally get that hot. So
yesterday was 96 in Linwood. So
yeah, I mean, I was in Shelton. It was 96. I mean, so we're seeing that really take off. It's the high end home builders also that I was at a retreat and talking to one, and he goes, "Well, ductless, we don't put those in our high end homes." This guy builds homes like Medina, Washington, just the Microsoft world, but that's changing because as Jason said, putting a ducted system in. I have every room except for my laundry room. Jason has he's split ended, and it's awesome. And my heating bill's my electric bill's only $200 a month, and that's including an electric car. I mean, it is so cheap because you only need to cool and heat the areas that you're in, right? And it's awesome. I mean, I'm a big fan of Mitsubishi. So my Daikin unit failed at our cabin, so I'm not a big fan of Daikin right now.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of trouble with those, and the sad part is we would do more Mitsubishi here. It's the supplier, our local supplier, has been really, really bad. So that's why we went with. Now we just do exclusively Lennox. We do all of Lennox's residential normal system, and we've been putting in a bunch of their mini splits, which they've been pretty good. We use their nicer indoor head. I want to say it's the MLMM. I should know this and don't, but their nicer one, and it's been really, really nice. The service has been good. If you got to clean it or take the fan blade out, it literally, I mean, the squirrel cage, it just pops out. It's been good, but we tried to do Mitsubishi, and it was just being able to keep up. And like I said, the supplier, and I don't want to say their name because they're big, even though I should. That's the uncensored part of this, but people can still sue me. Um, but yeah, that was one of the big problems. And it's funny because they're trained in Mitsubishi. They also do Ream. And it's just we can't run a business off of it because it can't be so up and down. I mean, we do a lot of stuff, and when I need it, I need it. And I get it when everybody's messed up, but when I can literally call every other supplier and they can give me their version of what I need, and then I call this one and they're like, we can have it in like 3.5 weeks. I'm like, well, I don't need it in 3.5 weeks, bud. Like, I lost the job in 3.5 weeks.
Right, right.
So it is what it is. And that's why I tell people, I think there's a bunch of amazing brands out there, but sometimes your local area has a lot to do with that as well, that you deal with a supply house
Amen.
that takes care of you and is helping
Yep.
you build your business in the direction you're trying to take it, that it's more than just equipment. It's, are they providing training? How is their warranty? Are they giving you like a buyback program? You spend so much, you get, this percentage back or whatever. I'm like, there's more to it. So, and I get it.
Yes.
As a technician, you're like, oh, well, I like this brand. That's what I'm going to sell if I start a business. Well, when you actually start to run a business, there's so much more to it than that. People are like, oh, I don't understand why these people put in Goodman or Daikin. Well, it's probably because they got an amazing fucking deal. And there's more to it, and that place is taking care of that business. Trust me, we fell in that rabbit hole and we climbed out of it and ran away from it. But at the beginning, it was an amazing deal. It was something we would have been dumb to turn down as far as a business at the position we were in. There's just more to it, where people need to realize that.
Right. Hey, Gil.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move. You'll see me moving. I'm just moving to where I can actually plug in power. So just don't mean to be distracting, but
Yeah.
I'm losing my battery.
And just so you guys know, we're at past an hour, so I'll start to, end this thing down soon. But while Jason's moving, Kevin, if somebody is interested, and I'll put this link in the actual podcast. If somebody is interested in this, they just go to the website, to the IngeniPro.com is where they can buy it.
Actually, I'll send you I can send you. It's PacWest is our sales partner. If they want to buy direct right now, and they're PacWest sales out of Mukilteo. I can send you the info. And then they sell by the case. In the case of the Gen 2 boxes, there's 8 of them. And then the Flash 5, there's 4 or 5, and the Flash 8, there's 4 because they're bigger. We have all the same boxes. If you're in the Northeast right now, you can go to FW Web for the Gen 2 boxes. But we can definitely get them to you, and you have my contact information. I answer the phone pretty much all the time. So, and even I work East Coast and West Coast hours. So we can always get going. But so we can supply them to you, no problem. Anyone who wants them. But the main goal really is to get into your local distributor, so that you can just pick up a box when you want, and but we want to get the units out there and get people using them. So,
well, just if it helps, I mean, because of the podcast and they know who I am, and everybody knows that I'm from Baltimore, even though I'm outside of Baltimore. I use more, the local Johnstone is what I use because of the relationship as far as like truck stock and different things. But the one to get into on the East Coast is Ari Michael. They kind of were from here, but I actually have some connections there that I can reach out to them and maybe start some dialogue. They might tell me to get effed. They might say, "Oh, this is great," but I figure it's worth a try because they are up and down the East Coast, and the Washington D.C., Virginia, Baltimore. I forget how far they go up and down, but they That's a huge. If you can get with those on the East Coast, it's only going to open up from there, because then all their competitors are going to want to compete against them. So that's
Yep.
what I found helping other people with similar products. If we can get into their door, then it kind of opens it up. But what I was saying earlier, Ari Michaels is one of the problems is because they're so big, they deal with like the new Calgon and they sign these big,
Right.
huge deals. But sometimes it still works because I don't see anything in there that is similar to what you do. So I don't think it would compete against anybody else. So it shouldn't be a problem.
Cool.
No,
Well, I'm definitely
that'd be
shipping
great.
you. I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to be shipping you a box tomorrow. So some flashing incentive, and
Yeah.
send you a Flash 5 and a Gen 5, a Gen 2 box. So it's not a problem.
Yeah, nice. I'll put I don't know if I can put my address and stuff, or I'll probably put it in my I'll have it sent to my office,
Mhm.
so it doesn't get destroyed if it comes to my house. But yeah, this is awesome. I mean, I like I said, I love when people in the trade try to adapt and solve problems and take a risk to do something like this, because everybody says, like I was saying earlier, oh man, I wish I could have created that, like the Gallo gun. Everybody's like, oh, that's
Yeah,
so dumb. I could have done that. Yeah, but you didn't. You didn't. He
you
did.
didn't. Exactly.
Okay. Somebody else put in the work to do that, that every single one of you have the damn thing in your tool bag. You got to think outside the box sometimes. And one thing about Ryan, the owner, my friend and owner of the company Beltway that I work for, is Ryan's like that. And he thinks of a bunch of ideas, and some of them I thought have been really awesome, and none of them have broke yet. But I tell him, like, dude, don't stop. And he spent a good chunk of money, and we thought it was going to go somewhere, and it didn't. So he probably lost like 20, 30 grand. But I was like, dude, don't stop, because some of these are good ideas, and all it's going
Yeah,
to take is one that's going to be
that's all
like,
it takes. Yeah.
exactly, oh my God, this is it. Like I did a podcast. I want to say his name is Steve Snyder. He created the Attic Pro, the thing that you put in the attic to like winch up a furnace or winch up something.
Yep. Yep.
I see people with them all the time. And the guy was like, I was just messing with stuff in my garage, grinding things and,
Yeah.
welding them together. He's like, and then it just took off from there. So that's why I love, talking about things like this and trying to see them succeed, because I think it's pretty awesome. And it took a lot of guts and time on your side to not at some point be like, screw this. It was a good idea, but I'm done. I throw my hands up, wave the white flag. So touche to you, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. No. Thanks for saying that, Guy. I appreciate it. It's one of those things where you just go, am I literally doing something, rolling the dice on something that's gonna impact my business to a point, my core business, to a point where I'm not going to recover. So if I invest, 150 grand into doing a bunch of products and marketing and all this stuff, am I ever going to recover that? I mean, and that's one of the things I had to do. I mean, and Kevin knows, we've talked about this quite a bit. My whole deal with this and doing this is I want to save myself time. I want my business to be more efficient. And I always look at my business like, how can I either make more revenue off my guy? And that sounds bad, but I mean, guys break down. We're all human. I mean, I've got a MRI scheduled tomorrow for one of my knees. I mean, I spent way too many years crawling in crawl spaces running ductwork. And so, people break down. So you got to find ways that people can either, uh, I don't mean to sound bad, but they can either work slower and be just as productive, or they can work at the same speed and you generate more revenue. Um, or you're talking about like these different inventions where you can save your back by using, a great product that lets you still do the job, but you save your back or you save your knees or whatever. And so my whole deal with this is going to allow me to have less callbacks. It's going to allow me to have less scheduling problems. It's going to save my guys a lot of time. It's going to save me a lot of time, a lot of overtime, save them late nights. And so literally I sat down with this and I looked at it and said, okay, how much time am I going to save? How much time is using these boxes and using these flashing going to save me? So me and Kevin literally sat down and we went through and broke out how much it was costing me by the month to have damaged line sets. That's literally what we did. And I literally penciled out and said, okay, if nobody ever buys it, if they say this is the pissiest, poorest thing I've ever seen, good luck with it. If I'm the only one that ever buys my own product, it's still going to pay off. It's going to take a couple of years, but it's going to pay for itself because I have less callbacks, I have less trade damage to deal with, I have way more consistency in my schedules because I don't have to try and factor in going back or extra overtime. Okay, this job was supposed to take, I had 8 hours budget to set these condensers here, and I got 8 pairs of line sets out of 12 that are all kinked. Now I got to tear flashings off, I got to tear siding off, and I didn't have that in the budget, and I didn't have that. Maybe the builder would pay a change order. Maybe we get a back charge to the painter. Yay, that's great. But I don't have the time in the budget to do that this week. So how do I manage that, right?
Or it starts to piss people off. Even though they could have done it themselves, maybe that painter is a big national painter and the builder's like, hey man, like I can't find a painter for what these guys charge me and they do an amazing work. Like, you can't keep pissing them off because, and you're like, well, what are you talking about, dude? They're the one messing my stuff up. Like I've been there with these things and it's problems. It's putting out fires before they even happen. And sometimes in business, what you do, you're putting out fires on a daily basis. And what you said about the employees being, obviously all of your employees are numbers. About creating a good culture is to make your people don't feel like they're numbers. But everybody has to meet numbers. They have to, they say that thing where every tech should be $350,000 per year. That's great. Do I wish every single tech I had was a certain number? But you have to try to figure that out. And if it has to make money to make sense. Efficiency matters. Like the thing in the attic. Okay, maybe now you can have one guy do that furnace that day because of this invention that you're doing. So that makes it efficient. That saves money. I'm only paying one guy, but I'm getting paid the same amount. So it's just crazy learning business and some of the different things. Efficiency is key, and your people that last. Like a lot of people, they don't, especially we've been awesome with our younger generation. Like some of our best techs are guys that didn't know dick about HVAC. They were just good people. We got them from church. They had good moral compass. They came. We taught them the trade, and now they're amazing. So that's how we're filling our shortage gap. Because all they know is our way. So they don't know any other way to do it besides how we teach them. But a lot of the younger, especially the younger guys, they don't want to kill themselves. And the older generation, which sadly older, would probably be 35 and up now, technically, if you want to look at, they're trying to make their body last, they're probably starting to have, I'm only 40, but I've never had knee issues, but I'll be damned if they don't hurt like crazy now, because of all the years, putting in, trying to work harder, longer, taking those extra calls. And guys are getting like, hey, I don't want to be like that guy. I don't want to do this. And with the shortage, these people hold all the cards. So if you're not providing some kind of different way of business, different way of taking care of them, they can go somewhere else because, the technicians hold the cards right now, not the business owners when it comes as far as people, unless your culture is so amazing that nobody is like, never going to leave. Like we feel pretty good. We know we have, like I said earlier, still always have to learn, have to keep growing as a company. But I say this all the time because it's how happy about it is. I don't have to worry about our guys being at a gas station and another service manager coming by and saying, hey man, I'll give you $2 an hour more to come here. My people would be like, dude, go F yourself. Like I'm not, So little things like this on the back end, which makes you more money, solves a problem, helps your people's headache. Because even though they're not the ones paying for it, they don't want to go back on a job they already did.
No, it's majorly demoralizing.
Yeah, it's like, dude, we spent all this work doing this, and now we got to redo this because it's like shit. It's just so it solves a lot of things. I didn't mean to go on that long rant, but that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, no, it's funny what you said because I relate to it pretty well. It's like our best people, the best people I have, they've never worked at another HVAC company. The worst people I've ever dealt with came from two or three or even more other HVAC companies, and they got stuff in them that you can't untrain, man. And that's one thing that's hard. I mean, one of the best guys I ever had working for me had only ever done carpet. He was a carpet layer. And he's just like, dude, that industry is going to kill my knees. So I'm looking for something else. And he's been one of the best installers I've ever had. Um, yeah. And I used to be that guy that was like wet behind the ears kid that was the youngest guy in training. And I feel a lot better now that it's like I see other kids out there. I mean, you're right. There is a younger generation that is coming on. I mean, I do think that I wish there was more incentives, right? I mean, just in society in general for people to be proud of working in trades, but it's not really like that. So we definitely have a shortage. But yeah, you're right. You have to get creative sometimes and try and find ways. I mean, like one of the things we do a profit sharing program, and so guys got an incentive, hey, if the company makes money, I can bust my butt all year. I can get paid good. But if the company's making money, I got a kickback coming back at Christmas. So that's something that we try and do, and there's different things that companies do. But yeah, you got to create a culture somehow so that you don't just lose a guy for $2 an hour and you're cycling out people. It's too expensive to try and train people and then lose them.
Exactly. And I agree with that 100%. And I always say a lot of times people don't always leave for money, they leave for opportunity. If they
Yeah,
know that they're with you and there's chances that, hey, I can be here for the long haul, like maybe I can eventually be a manager or something, people will stay for that. Or if there's somewhere for them to go. And we've
right.
tried to provide that. It sucked. We ended up losing one guy who was absolutely one of the best techs I've ever met. He was more of a commercial industrial guy that used to work for the government. We only got him because they were forcing the COVID shots and he wasn't going to get it. But it made us think like we have to make sure that we're producing these positions as we grow to be able to provide these
Right.
opportunities for these ground level people that are here when this thing takes off. And so far it's been good. You're always trying to tweak and move this and move that, but like I said, it's always a learning experience. That's why we love going and seeing other shops and see what they do. And honestly, some we go to, they're bigger than us, but there's certain factors that we do better than them. You know, like
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
share P&Ls, and they're like, dude, I wish I was like you when I was at that revenue. Like I wasn't doing that. But then there's other aspects that it's like that's awesome. Like we need to do something like that. Like this is cool. So, and I think it's cool that nowadays you have more of that because when I was coming up you couldn't go into other shops if you didn't know those people, you know?
No, no, it's funny you say that. You're 40, I'm 41, and this is all I've ever done. And I used to be just like that. Like, piss on all those other guys. Those are my competitors, and just had that attitude. But, I would say probably the last 10 years in particular, it's like, you kind of get comfortable with the fact that, hey, we're kind of brothers in a way. There's guys that are bad out there too. There's guys that are shysters and sharks and everything else. And you got that in every industry, but I've learned a lot from other guys. Actually, one of my best contractors now, that's a really good friend, used to be one of my competitors. I met him at a training meeting. We did a BDR class together on business, and just we weren't in exactly the same area of Seattle, so we didn't see each other as competitors, and we hit it off. And so when he jumped ship from doing HVAC to doing general construction, he actually brought me in as his contractor. And that's you can learn a lot just from other people. And that's one thing that I do have to say that's probably changed about me more than anything else is I like seeing other companies succeed. I like seeing the trades in general have a better public reputation.
Yeah, and you realize that everybody has their piece of the pie. You know what I mean? Like we all
Yeah,
think that it's like there's this big basket of customers and it's like, "Oh, well, if I talk to them, then I don't want them taking my part of the basket." And you might not even be competing for the same people, you know what I mean? Like we have a guy that we know that he is about like a good price and being the cheapest guy in town, and he does it off of quantity. Well, we're more quality. We're not going to be the cheapest guy in town. And we always say that there's relational and transactional buyers. Transactional people, all they care about is price. They don't give a shit about your
Right.
story, how good of a guy you are. Cheapest price. If you're not the cheapest price, get out of my house. Relational people, they want to get to know you. They want to build that relationship. And when you do, they're willing to spend a couple extra dollars because of that relationship. That's really who we want. We
Yeah.
want to work our way through the transactional to get to the relational. And easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where we've had the same thing happen where, you try and try to work with somebody and maybe even a couple of years or whatever, and then they ghost you, they're gone. And then they call you back 6 months, a year later, and like, well, yeah, I was just trying to save some money. I went with another guy and, it was worth the extra money to have you guys do our work. And that's, to me, that's about the best thing that I think I can get is to have customers that are like, you know what, bottom line, I'll make the budget work, but we want you guys doing our work, and that's about as good as it gets.
It's amazing. Like, we have some of the best warranties around, and if we're as good as we say we are, we should never need those warranties. But
Right.
if we don't, then you got to honor them. And one of them is if somebody has a major component failure in the first 3 years, compressor, heat exchanger, we're not going to replace the compressor. We're going to replace the whole outdoor unit because let's be honest, if that happens, yeah, maybe it could be the manufacturer, but we probably didn't do something right. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I
We
mean?
literally just we literally just did the same thing this week already. We had a customer that had a compressor failure on a Mitsubishi system. Matter of fact, it was one of their ducted, the air handler and ductless type configurations you were talking about earlier. And I just said, well, bottom line is she's not happy. We compressor failed. Somebody didn't do something right. Somebody's either they decided they really didn't need a micron gauge that day, or they didn't need, they really didn't need some nitrogen or something. Somebody did something because, and to what you said earlier, there's a lot of people that are just like diehards on a particular brand. And I've told people all the time, I would rather, and no reflection on the brand, but I would rather have uh, a Goodman system installed right than have a Mitsubishi system that's installed by a guy that doesn't care, right? I mean,
I
at
agree.
the end of the day, the installation is what makes it more than anything. So I do have a funny story about this. So I don't know. I mean, I think pretty much everybody knows. I mean, Train and American Standard are pretty much the same product. I mean, they come off the same line. I've been down to Tyler, Texas, done the factory tour, and I always tell people if they ask, I said it's like GMC or Chevy. If you know trucks, you got GMC, you got Chevy. It's the same thing. They're just marketed different. Same thing. Um, I took over a plat from a builder that went bankrupt. And I went into the project and I'm doing a walkthrough because we got to take care of all the loose ends that the other HVAC contractor left. And we were Train dealers and he was an American Standard dealer. And I walked in and I recognized the drywall guy that was there. He was doing the mudding and taping on a house. And I said, uh, Larry, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I knew him from some other builders that we had worked through together. We chit chat, and he said, "You're taking over this project." I said, "Yeah, we're coming in. I'm gonna fire off some of these furnaces here." And he said, "Man, I'm so glad you guys are taking over." He said, "These American Standard furnaces are just crap. These guys can't, they don't heat the houses at all. We're having all these problems." And I'm probably 25 years old at the time. I'm working for my dad, just, gung ho, balls to the wall, just get her done. And that's the first time I ever saw really how a brand could be affected by install. And I just literally sat back and I go, wow, we're literally installing the same furnace with a different name. But this other guy who went bankrupt was literally doing such a crappy job that everybody associated the install with the brand. And
Yeah.
so you got a drywall guy out there that'll never say anything nice about American Standard again, but he loves Train and he doesn't even realize that it's off the same assembly line. And that's how much installation can make a difference.
Yeah. We used to have the same thing with Carrier and Bryant. Same thing. One's gray, one's brown. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, and when people are like, "Oh, well, I'd rather have the Bryant. I saw that Bryant was ranked up here and Carrier was down here." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the same thing, right? Like it's there's no difference." Um, so it is true. And to be honest, that's what happened to Goodman, because I don't think that Goodman makes bad equipment. I don't think they make the best stuff out there, but they make good, durable stuff when it's installed correctly. They've had a few misses
Yeah.
on some things, but they all do. Where Goodman's name came into question is they were selling to anybody,
Yeah.
especially in our
Yeah.
area.
That happens.
Yeah, these guys were going and they were going out and doing shitty installs. And like you just said, people were like, "Oh, this Goodman stuff's a bunch of shit." Well, it's not the equipment's fault that it was installed improperly or incorrectly. I do think there is some inferior brands out there. Some of like the Nordyne stuff and the Air Temp, those kind of things. I think some of them, the micro channel is kind of crap. But most of all of the big names, if you install it the way it's supposed to be installed and you use the installation manual and actually read it, not as a knee pad, it's going to do what it's supposed to do.
Right.
It's that simple.
Right.
So, but guys, damn, we're like way over time. But I
Hey, this
want
is great. It's been
yeah,
great.
yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you
I love it.
so much for coming on and reaching out. And I'll definitely be in touch. I'll try to put some feelers out to people around here as far as the product. And when you send it to me, I can email you the address to send it to. I'll definitely, get my install teams to check this thing out and, try to make some videos and stuff to show people what it does and how it works and all that kind of stuff. And go from there. And if God forbid something changes or whatever, just message me back. We'll get you guys back on and we'll talk about something else. Or if another product pops up or whatever happens. But
Yeah,
thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Yeah, Gil,
Cool.
awesome. It's great being on. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank
Thank
you
you very
guys.
much.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. You guys can hang tight if you want. I'm going to close this thing out real fast. There we are. I got to zoom this in a tad. Ooh, too much. There we go. Guys, thank you so much for being in the chat and in there talking about God knows what. And I see the whole Marine versus Navy. Come on, that whole Marine clowns. Come on, LED. You couldn't hold my jock strap there, homie. Let's go, man. All right. I got some friends in the Navy, so I won't say anything. And some of my family is SEALs, so I won't say anything. But I will say this: thanks for the ride. I appreciate it. I wish I had a bigger room, but it was a nice ride to go fight the battles. Anyway, just joking. All of the branches of service is what makes this country the greatest country in the world. So if you've been in, that's why people can, joke back and forth. But it's just resin. And like I always say, every single branch is what makes us the best fighting force in the world. So please remember that. Guys, thank you so much for tonight. Please make sure you go to HVAC Tactical and you're putting your votes in for the people you think are deserving of those awards. Make sure you follow me on all the social media sites. I can't say I don't agree with you, Young. Let's just say for the record. Make sure that you guys are going and following all the social media sites. I promise you, I do have a giveaway here soon. Yellow Jacket has sent me some crazy things. I got a random box with a random fucking hose, then a whole nother box with a fitting. So I guess these things are coming in pieces. I'm not sure, but I'm going to do a giveaway here soon. It's going to be a big one. I'm going to give away that combustion analyzer, and I got a couple other things that I'm going to give away. Like I said, with the whole getting my rental property done to be sold so that I can move, it's just been stressful, plus some business things. But I will do a giveaway for you guys soon enough. With that being said, thank you to my moderators as always. I appreciate you guys for keeping the chat. Good. I know it wasn't a crazy amount tonight, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you very, very much. So let's close this out. With that being said, guys, remember, be safe out there. All right. We all got somebody to make it home to. We want to make it home the same way that we left. All right. Whether it comes with when you're driving, have your eyes open, be off your damn phone. When you're on a job site, be paying attention. I don't care who you work with. Hey, that breaker's off. Double check it. Let's just make sure. All right. Be safe, be smart, be hydrating yourself. All right. It's 100 degrees where you are. Go up for a little bit, do some work, go back downstairs. Okay. You have nothing to prove to anybody. All right. Your job as a father, as a husband, if you're a woman, if it's a mother, a wife, whatever, is to make sure that you make it back home to the people that you're working for. Okay. It's not, where the hell did that random thumb come from? But you know what I mean? It's to make sure that you make it home. So be smart. Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl. All right. Put in the effort to make yourself better, whether it's better technically, it's more about business, it's more about communication and sales, whatever it is. Nowadays, you have every resource at your fingertips, whether it is these podcasts, it's a book, it's some of the YouTube channels. I tell you, if you're in residential, AC Service Tech. His videos are amazing. You can learn anything. He has videos about every little single thing. You have Brian Orr, the videos that he makes. There's so many resources out there to make you better. So there's no excuse to sit around and say, I didn't know or I don't know. Because if you say that, you didn't want to know. Let's just be honest, okay? Keep pushing yourself. All right? With that being said, I love you, mofos. Be safe out there. And until next week, I'll talk with you later. All right? See ya.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored Podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or